Welcome back. Today's video is going to be about my favorite affordable drugstore eye brushes. Now, if you haven't seen part 1 of this, of my favorite face brushes, I will link it in the eye above and in the description box down below, so check it out if you want to see my favorite affordable face brushes. So as mentioned in that video, all of my brushes are synthetic, 100% synthetic, no animal hair, no goat hair, nothing of the sort, because I do only buy cruelty-free brushes. Not all of these brushes are directly from the drugstore, but they are all still affordable. So I go very in-depth onto the eye brushes. I go into my favorite blending brushes, pencil brushes, pinpoint concealer brushes, my favorite cut crease brushes, everything in between as well. All of the products talked about in this video will be listed down below, as well as a link to this makeup tutorial that I have on my face right now. I don't know if it will go before this video or after, but I'll link it down below at some point. Before I begin, make sure to subscribe to this channel, like and comment on this video, and don't forget to hit the bell notification so you won't miss any of my uploads. So if you want to see my favorite affordable eye brushes, then just keep on watching. Now I'm going to move on to the eye category, and I have a lot more brushes for this because the eye is just, you give a little extra detail to usually. So I'm going to start off with the eyebrows, and if you haven't seen my eyebrow routine yet, I will link it in the eye above. But in my routine, I like to use a brow pencil as well as a brow pomade. Now the pomade that I use is the Milani brow pomade. I don't remember what it's called. But that is my favorite pomade, and it is an amazing pomade. But with the pomade came this brush. And this brush is so good that I'm upset that they don't sell this separately. Actually, I don't even know if Milani makes brushes. But this is such a good eyebrow brush. It is nice and stiff. The bristles don't wiggle around much. They have just the tiniest amount of give to them so that you can still spread and blend the product, but they don't have too much flimsiness where the product just gets everywhere. And of course, on the other side, there is a spoolie to help brush out your brows. The one con for me with this brush is that it's a little small. It's a little small, as you can see, compared to like a regular sized brush. She's a little small. She's a little petite like me. If they made this brush in a regular size, I will be more than happy to snatch it right up. This makes your brow product spread so far. Like honestly, I have to dip into the pot maybe twice or maximum 3 times, and it will just spread onto my entire eyebrow. This brush is for all of the gals that have long ass nails and you can't use your fingers on your eyeball. If you have that issue of my nails are too long to use on my eyeball to blend out my primer, this is the brush for you. So this is the Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. I don't really like to use this in the crease. It's a little too dense and flat and fat. But it is the perfect brush for buffing and blending out eye primer. It's like with foundation, you know, you want a bit of a stiffer, thicker, denser brush, and that is exactly what this will do with primer. It'll just really nicely buff and blend it out into the skin, and your eye primer will be amazing. And it won't pick up random spots, it won't give you splotches if you're using a colored base for the eye, but it will just smooth it out really nicely, and you won't have to get your nails all up in your eye and potentially cut yourself. And this is also a great brush for just setting the primer that you just put on, just using a skin colored eyeshadow and just sweeping it and dusting it over the eye. It is perfect for that as well because it is really nice and dense, like I said, so it'll pick up the right amount and it will set the primer. So most of us usually start off with a transition color or a shade that is slightly deeper than our skin tone, and this brush, I don't know what is so amazing, but this has to be like my favorite eye brush of all time is this brush. This is the BH Cosmetics Studio Pro No. 5 brush. Wow, this brush has changed my entire makeup career, life, hobby, everything. Oh, I don't know what is it about this brush, because it's just a blending brush, you know? It's just a fluffy blending brush that is slightly tapered, and oh my god, do I love that about it. The taperedness makes it so it fits so beautifully just into my crease. It's not too big because I do have slightly smaller eyes, and this does not engulf and swallow up my eye. Nobody talks about these BH Cosmetics studio brushes, but they are such good quality. The ferrule, the handle, the bristles, everything about them is so high quality, more so than every other brush that I have right now. Maybe not the Real Techniques brushes. Actually, no. These feel so much more luxe than even these Real Technique ones, and these are probably like one of the most expensive ones I own. Oh, even these Wet n Wild ones. These, there's no comparison. This is just so luxurious in the hand, feels expensive. It has like a little bit of a weight to it, as opposed to these Wet n Wild ones. There's a tiny bit of a weight, and it is just so nice and nice on the hand. The handle is a like soft matte finish, like that NARS packaging deal. It just blends everything out so seamlessly, and I barely have to do any work to blend out my eyeshadow because of this one little brush. So I have 4 variations of basically the same type of brush, but I swear to God they all do different things, okay? So this brush is the fattest of them all. This is the BH Cosmetics Studio Pro number 6 brush. And this, if you've seen a MAC 217, I think it is a fat 217. It is a little bit thicker than these pinched blending brushes usually are. You can see that is nicely pinched on the side, and it fluffs out. It doesn't really taper that much. It tapers just a little tiny bit, enough to fit into the crease of your eye really nicely and still blend it out. So this is for if I want just a little bit more precision on the eye than this transition fluffy blending brush that I used. So if you want just a little tiny bit more precise of an application, this is what I use. It fluffs out the color really nicely. Everything I said about the make of that brush, I will say about this brush, so I won't repeat myself. Okay, so the next one that I have to talk about is the e.l.f. blending brush, this is called. So it has less of a fluff to it. It's still pinched, but it is much less splayed out in that like V shape almost. It's a little bit more paddle-like, a little bit flatter. This is the perfect paddle shape for just applying matte shadow to the lid, really packing that color on. This is the brush for that. It will also simultaneously blend the shadow if you use the tip of the brush, and it's just a multitasking amazing brush. So that was more for lid work with matte colors, but these two are almost virtually the same. But this is the e.l.f. number 205 brush. They're clear handle brushes, which, okay, for me, these look a little cheap, a little kiddish because they are clear. They just feel much less high quality than even these white e.l.f. brushes that I'm going to talk about. But that's just a little pet peeve of mine. They are a little bit more sturdy. They have a little bit more weight to them than the white ones, but they just look cheap to me. So this brush is for really detailed crease work, and so is this one. This is the Real Techniques Base Shadow Brush. So this one is a little bit more splayed out than the Real Techniques one. What I also really like about these brushes is that you can use them to highlight the brow bone. So these have a lot of multitasking uses. These are so nice on the lower lash line as well because they are a little bit flatter and smaller. That is also what this brush is amazing for as well. The e.l.f. blending brush is just amazing for the lower lash line. It just fluffs out the color because it is so flat and paddle-like. This way, it will just fluff out the color really nicely. But yes, these two brushes are almost virtually the same. If you can find either one, you'll be good, but I love just using these brushes for a variety of things. That's why I mentioned 4 different ones. Now I have 3 different types of pencil brushes. These 3 are completely different to me, but the first one I'll be talking about is the e.l.f. blending eye brush. Now these are the white handles. They cost $1. I have like 2 of these. These are amazing. This pencil brush is for people who just want to pack the color on right on the outer corner, inner corner, any tight space that you want to pack it on. This is a little bit fatter than the average pencil brush, and because it's not tapered, it won't really give you too much precision. If you want just a little bit of extra precision, this is the brush I recommend. The blending eye brush will just really stamp the color on right where you want it, and you can also blend with this. It doesn't look like you could blend, but it does have the tiniest bit of give to it, enough that you can slightly blend. You can't really diffuse it out beautifully and wonderfully like a nice gradient, but you can just do the tiniest little bit of blending. And if you want precise crease color application, this is amazing for that as well. And then this is a bit more of a traditional pencil brush. This is the BH Cosmetics BH Studio Pro number 8 brush. And it is just a traditional pencil brush. It's a little bit smaller than the e.l.f. brush I just showed you. And the tip is a little bit more pointed. This is for extreme precise application on the outer corner, inner corner, lower lash line, anything of the sort. This will place the color right where you want it and also blend it out. It just fits so nicely on the eye, and if you have smaller eyes, this also will not engulf your whole eyelid. And then this brush is another brush for those girls who have long fingernails. And you're questioning, how do I highlight my inner corner? Because I usually use my finger to get the maximum impact. And this brush will help solve all your inner corner problems. This is the e.l.f. Eye Crease Brush. So this brush is just a tiny version of the other e.l.f. blending eye brush, and it is just so nice. It fits into that inner corner so snugly, places the color, blends it out, and actually picks up a decent amount of product. You might have to go in a few times because the difference between a brush and your fingers are insane, but it just makes application so easy. This brush, single-handedly, is the only brush I use for shimmer shadows. This brush. This is the e.l.f. eyeshadow brush. This is $1. This is amazing. So you can see that it is just a typical flat shader brush, flat on both sides. It's a little fluffy, but not too much, decently dense, like I said, and oh my god. I don't know what is about these bristles, but they just pick up shimmer shadow like a dream. This brush is quite precise because it is a bit shorter and wider, and it just will hug and cup the eye so nicely. It's just, this is literally the only one I use, and it's $1. Is literally what I used today to get this blue purple gradient thing that I have going on, and it fits the eye so snugly. This will work on people who have bigger eye shapes, smaller eyes, because of the tip of it as well, picks up a ton of product. For my super glam folks, these brushes are the best to do cut creases. So this is the Real Techniques Detailer brush and the Real Techniques Accent brush. First of all, they're so tiny and flat and paddle-like, but the detailer brush has a tiny bit more of a point to it. It kind of rounds out into a tiny bit of a point, and that is what is so good to just carve that crease out. It'll fit so nicely on the eye. It's not too big for me, but if you find that this is a little too big for your eye shape, that is why I'm also recommending the accent brush, because it is about half the size of the detailer brush in length, and it's not as tapered, but you can still get that really nice crisp line. They grab a lot of concealer, so kind of swirl it and push it onto the brush so it's completely coated, so you don't get a glob of concealer on your eye. But these are my 2 favorite brushes for cut creases and any crease detail work that you have to do. These 2 are amazing. And now my last thing is an obscure product, but this is for my people who love glitter. This is the e.l.f. Silicone Smudger. Now you might be thinking, what the hell am I gonna do with a silicone smudger, right? So this is marketed as a glitter applicator, and oh my god, is it the best glitter applicator you will ever use. You don't have to use your fingers ever again. Ever again. And because it's silicone, it is so easy to wipe and clean off right then and there. And you can actually get every single glitter off of the brush. I know when I used to use my regular brushes before for glitter, it would embed itself into the bristles and cause me so many problems later on when I'm washing it. But this is such easy cleanup. It's silicone, it'll just wipe off, it'll clean off so nicely. It's not a porous surface, so nothing will get into it, and it is just the best glitter applicator ever. So if you love glitter, I really recommend picking this up. So that wraps up my video, guys, on my top favorite drugstore brushes. I hope I gave you some recommendations that you would like to add to your own collection, and any other types of brushes that you didn't know about. I hope I taught you something at least. All the brushes talked about in this video and whatever is on my face will be linked down below, so check the description box for all of that. And while you're down there, please subscribe to this channel, like and comment on this video, any other video suggestions you would like me to do, and don't forget to hit the bell notification so you won't miss any of my uploads. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!